as Chris can attest to, we look as stupid as those two robots on our artwork. We really do.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Basic AF. I am Tom Anderson, joined, as always, by Jeff Battersby. Hello, Jeff.
Good morning, Tom. And you were looking a little lost there for a second, pal. You looked like you didn't know what you were supposed to be doing next.
So, a little insider note here. When we have guests, the recording's a little bit different. And so I usually kick the intro music when it's just the two of us because that separates out on the recording. But when we have a guest, it all comes through the Riverside and it makes it hard to edit, but nobody cares. Anyway, good to see you. Happy holidays. I know you've got your Christmas lights up year round in your little studio there.
In here, and I got them on the tree yesterday. So the tree is up and, I've murdered another tree. I have a friend who... she says it's bougie, but I don't really think it is. She rented a sequoia for the holidays, which is kind of cool. And I'm kind of interested in finding something like that for myself so I don't have to murder trees anymore. But yeah, cool stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's where I'm heading out afterwards. But we have a guest.
We do, which always makes the show better.
Yeah, welcome back, Chris Freitag. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys.
Yeah,
how are you?
It's actually good to see you.
Right.
Yeah, rather than just hear our little voices.
Yeah, so Chris joined us. I was looking before the show. I was like, well, I know he joined. But just to show how quickly time goes by, it was actually the April 29th episode.
Wow.
And I was like, holy moly, that's way back.
I would have said August.
That's what I thought.
One of those A words.
Yeah, yeah, close enough. There's another one we won't bring up. But Jeff
there's a pair of us here, though. That there's a pair of those other A words standing right here, and it doesn't include Chris.
Yeah, that was episode 34. We are up to, and I just want to make it a quick note. Episode 50. Congratulations to us, Jeff.
Wow! Yes, look at us.
Congrats.
We're 50 years old. We're 50.
We've not grown tired of each other yet through 50 episodes, but we've known each other 14 years or so now, so I don't think it's going to happen.
We'll see. We can probably work it out. As soon as we have that political show, Tom, I think it'll end everything for us.
And the listeners, too. So
yeah, right. Nobody's
together
going to
nicely.
listen to that.
Right.
So, Chris, first, one of the things I want to say straight off the bat, mostly following you on Threads, and man, I love your basically everyday photos that you're putting out. Really a treat to see, and I like the photography you're doing. And thank you for that. Really enjoying it.
Thank you for that compliment. I'm working. It's definitely a passion.
Yeah, great stuff. And how goes the channel? Just as by way of.
I think I'm doing pretty well, and I'm over 1,600 subscribers at this point, which is way beyond my wildest dreams. So I look at it as every minute anybody watches, every subscriber I get is still just amazing to me, and it's really fun. I'm actually considering doing a second channel for my user experience design career.
Oh, cool. I like
Very
that.
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good for you. And feeling comfortable with the filming and all the work you're doing. It feels to me now like you've got your style down.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear, there are definitely some beats that you have in the midst of what you're doing, and it feels like you've gotten comfortable with how the editing is going and all that.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that true?
All of that is very It's such a huge learning curve. You'd think going from photo to video wouldn't be that big, but I think it's like skiing to snowboarding. Like there's just this fundamental difference that people don't usually understand, and I had to go through those bumps.
Yeah, I remember the first time I snowboarded and caught a front edge. It was great, and my elbows felt it for about 3 months after.
Yeah.
Super cold days still do, right?
Yeah, well, that's everything aches now, but that's a different story.
Yeah, that's fun.
All right.
Yeah. So very quickly, we've got the release candidates yesterday. So as we record this, it's Saturday, December 7th. So I think we got those. It was either Thursday or Friday of this week for macOS 15.2, Vision OS 2.2, iPad, and iOS 18.2. So it looks like we'll be seeing those next week. I know, Jeff, you've been running the betas. Chris, are you on any of the betas?
I am on the public betas. I just got everything updated last night.
Nice.
Yeah, I found them to be pretty solid.
Yeah.
I'm running iPad and Mac OS. I have not done any betas on the phone or the watch.
Did you do on the Vision Pro yet or no?
No.
Chicken.
Sure. No, I am. So I'll be honest with you. A couple of weeks ago, Apple put out some more immersive content. They did that Concert for One series, and Ray was on there, so I wanted to check that out. And I almost did the beta then because I wanted to try the new virtual desktop stuff for Mac OS because they've got the wide and ultra wide options now. But then I was like, well, it's only 2 weeks until the release, so I'm just going to wait. But I will talk about that. We'll talk about that next episode, maybe.
Okay,
a little
cool.
bit when that comes out.
Looking forward to that.
Awesome. So that'll be out. That's got some of the new Apple Intelligence features that they continue to roll out. Image Playground, Image Wand, ChatGPT integration with Siri. One day.
Yeah.
Just one day.
I'm done with it.
Yeah, I did about the same. I made a whole bunch of ones of me and the wife and the kids and sent them off and irritated people with them, but I haven't done much with it since. Chris,
including
played
me,
it with that?
by the way.
Nope, I haven't used any of those features yet because I don't have a Vision, so I don't try it out.
Yeah, I sent you a picture, Tom, with a 3D shot that I took that I took when I was in Piermont, New York, actually. And you said it was kind of cool. I had no way of seeing it. But
It was like, I think the spatial photos are, I don't want to say it's a gimmick really, but they're okay. Like they're not that great. I think what's impressive is when you can so in Vision OS, if you go into photos and you've got a regular picture, you can tap on the little spatial icon and it will transform the regular picture into kind of a spatial photo. That's impressive to me because it just and some of them are really old and it still seems to do a pretty good job with it. So I think that's pretty good. I have not done any playing around with the spatial audio or spatial video or photographs yet myself. But yeah, I mean, you can tell it's not just the photo, but it's kind of meh.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just my photography.
I thought it was a nice picture, but it's just,
it was a great picture, I thought.
Yeah. And it's like, but I feel like for certain use cases, those spatial photos probably turn out better. Like if you got your, I don't know, family member, kid, whatever, dead center in the frame, and then you're staying still and their kind of stuff's going on maybe or something. But yeah, I don't know.
Whenever I see those, I immediately think of Minority Report. And it's like it's a depressing vision, what he's doing in Minority Report. But yeah, that's what I always think of because that's where I saw it first.
Yeah, looking around the room, right? That's
right.
It's still one of my top 50 favorite movies. I still like that for a variety of reasons.
Right.
But yeah, that is always cool. Kind of look around the room, see the scissors on the table,
right, right.
The swing going back and right, all that stuff. Kind of cool. Yeah, so I'll have to play with it more, but I don't have the ability, and nor will I, to put on Vision Pro and see what it looks like when I play with it. I have to send it to you and have you go, it was okay.
That's kind of what it did. Yeah.
Yeah, that is exactly what you
But
did.
it wasn't a reflection of the photograph. It was just
right. It's just a reflection on me in general. I understand. I got you. I got a few. Our relationship is to that point where I understand what I'm good for and what,
well,
what I'm not.
Like I said, it's been 14 years, Jeff. That's where we're at.
Yes, it has. Right.
So.
We've been around for a minute.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chris, we're having you on because we want to talk photography, particularly photography on the phone, but we have a couple other things we want to talk about.
Okay.
And one of those things is the Pixelmator acquisition by Apple of Pixelmator, which, by the way, I use on both my phone and my Mac. Not very well, but you have thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very curious. It is an application that I absolutely use. I use Pixelmator Pro. I use that for my thumbnails, for my YouTube thumbnails. I actually do a lot of graphic design work in it now, even though I started in Photoshop and Illustrator. I find it very easy to use. Photomator, I don't use as often. I mean, it's a good application. But I'm really curious what their plan is with it. You know, it's one of those things where I don't think a lot of people realize that Photos on the Mac is an incredibly awesome photo editing application, where the one on the iPad and the iOS is really pulled back. They don't do nearly as the same stuff. So I'm wondering if that's why. Like if their iOS stuff, they just realized they were never going to catch up or something.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have been using Tom. I should ask: do you use either of those apps?
Very little. I have it, but I don't use it a whole lot.
So for the longest time, and it's still supported. I think I used Pixelmator Photo, which was the precursor to Photomator, and it was part of my workflow for iOS photography, especially when I was doing black and white stuff. I would use one conversion in black and white in the Photos app, and then jump over to Pixelmator Photo to do a little deeper work. Photomator hasn't provided me with the same kind of workflow. So, but I do use it for my photo editing. It is my go-to for the vast majority of what I'm doing on my phone. Not as much on my Mac. I don't do a ton of editing on my Mac. Some on my iPad, but mostly on my phone when I'm doing it. That's part of my process. So you use it every day.
I do get into Pixelmator Pro almost every day. I do design work in there, just touch up stuff. But where I'm hoping, or I think a lot of people are hoping, is I did use Aperture. I was a big Aperture user and I loved it. And actually, when Aperture fell, that's also when my photography went into a dip, because
interesting.
I didn't want to go back into Adobe's world. And the iPhone and all these things were starting to, like, computational photography. This is going to get more interesting. Maybe I just don't even need a camera anymore. And so I got away from that whole raw workflow for a while. And then I came back into Lightroom. But I would love to see maybe it's not Aperture, but maybe it's a part of their Final Cut Logic and then whatever photo application for professional work.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about Pixelmator is, first of all, the price point. It is definitely a macOS iOS app. It has the feel of something designed specifically for Apple products, which I love about it. Photoshop was never anything I really did much with, and it always still feels clunky to me. Actually, most of those products that Adobe's doing feel kind of janky, at least in my estimation. And Pixelmator, definitely an app that felt like a Mac app to me that I could use, and just really thoughtful. Their tutorials are brilliant, really, really well done, easy to use technology. I'm not always impressed with, they have machine learning tools, and you hit that, and sometimes it's like, whoa, you've way saturated this photo in a way that I don't like it. But for the most part, solid application for playing with photos, and you don't have to bankroll Adobe stockholders to do it, because Adobe's still bloody expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And they get the iOS, iPad, and Mac, right? They get it like that. So
yeah. Yeah. It's really thoughtful stuff. So, interesting. We'll see how it plays out and whether that division, the people that created Pixelmator, whether or not they continue to be the strength behind that after being picked up by Apple. I hope so.
I hope so too,
because they have really, really great design ideas in terms of how that application works and the features that they add to it on the regular. So, we'll hopefully see more for that, more of that.
Yeah,
well, cool.
I'll be curious to see how that plays out because Apple does these acquisitions. Well, they do a lot of them, but a lot of them are small and they kind of just integrate the technology. And they did a lot around the AI stuff and everything, but Shortcuts was the result of an acquisition, right? Because it was workflow before. And so they picked that up. Of course, Beats, they bought that, but there's still a Beats brand. So it'll be interesting to see if they keep the Pixelmator as a product or if they, as I think Chris alluded to there a couple of minutes ago, bring in a new kind of pro photo app.
Right.
And leverage that stuff. But
yeah. So it'll be.
They are great Apple devs. So I think it's hopefully Apple doesn't blow it.
Yeah. Hey Siri. Oh,
right. Yeah, that too. Yeah. Back on iPhone 4. That came. Yep.
Anyway, yeah, good stuff. All right. So the big thing that we wanted to get to today is something that I don't have, which is an Apple 16 or Apple 16 Pro. Both
iPhone.
What did I say?
Apple.
Whatever.
Everybody knows.
You've had a few drinks, but you don't have an iPhone 16.
Right. Yeah. The vodka tonics have been going early and deep. iPhone, Apple. 16. It's me. It's my brains on the usual.
See, that's the residual from that snowboarding accident. It's talked about 10 minutes ago.
Right. Did I mention that I had multiple concussions from that? Anyway, I don't have. I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max, which I love the camera on. But you guys have been working with the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max. Is that what you're?
Yeah,
both of you were on the. You have
I've
the
got Pro Max. Yeah.
And Chris, you put out a video. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the date on this was. I didn't see the date.
It was a couple of weeks after the release.
Okay, so you've now had a good bit of time to spend with the iPhone, and normally you shoot Fuji. That's your go-to. But curious if you've had any further thoughts about the camera control button, about the photography that's taking place. What's possible, and I want to hear more. What your thoughts are.
Sure. Since that video, my thoughts have mostly stayed the same. I don't like the camera control button very much for the half press stuff. As a button on the device, now that it's winter, I'm walking my dog. I've got my gloves on. It's great to be able to open the camera and use the camera without doing anything else. I don't have to worry about touchscreen gloves or anything like that. I can just use the camera, and that's great. I do love that. So, as a physical button, it's great. I'm glad that it's there. But yeah, all that special camera control stuff where you slide your finger to adjust certain parts, I just haven't found it to be very useful. The on-screen controls are actually much more useful from a user standpoint, how I hold my device in my hand. But it's not all negative. I'll get to the good stuff in a sec.
Okay, cool. Tom, how about you?
I pretty much feel the same way. I think I love it as a launcher for the camera. And Chris made a great point there with having gloves on and being able to do that. I do launch the camera sometimes accidentally by pressing it just when I pick it up. Now, if it's locked and you press it, it doesn't do anything, so it doesn't matter. But for the controls, it still just feels like too fidgety and imprecise. And I know there's settings, and I've played with the settings a little bit there too. And Chris, you alluded to it in your video, but the placement on the phone itself still doesn't, even after almost 3 months now, it still doesn't fallen. I haven't gotten used to where it is. Like, in either way you hold it, like portrait or landscape, it's not in a good spot in either position or orientation. So if you're doing a portrait, it's too low, and if you're doing the kind of a landscape shot, it's still not right. So I just use the on-screen button. So
to take pictures.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys both using the Apple's camera app, or either using Halide?
I bounce back and forth, but the launcher launches Apple's. I mostly get the best pictures using Apple's because it's just all built in. They control the hardware and the software.
Right. They have both pieces of that.
Right.
So I use on my 15 Pro Max, I use Halide in the button on the top. For photos that I'm being really thoughtful about, if I'm just needing to take a quick picture, or, when you can slide down the control center on the right-hand side, that camera link is taking me to Apple's camera, which is what I was using for a long time. So I'm bouncing between the two of those. Lock screen cameras, Halide as well for me. And one of the things that you said in your video is that really the tech behind everything hasn't changed that much between the 15 and the 16. So you're getting kind of the same quality, the same features from that, which makes me happy because I had no intention of hopping on that 16. Are there any other things that you've seen since using this, that have changed your mind about the value of the tech behind it?
I mean, this is a hard one because I don't actually think it's a technological problem. I think they gated it, but the color profiles, the photographic styles are like the reason to get it. Like I would get it for that.
Okay.
But the thing is, I really think it could be on the 14 and the 15. They were powerful enough to run this. So
yeah,
it's a tough one.
So say more about that. What is it about those styles that makes it stand out to you?
Well, whenever you have any kind of camera, so if you buy a Fujifilm X100V and you go out to take photos and you have it all in auto, it is going to assume that you want a bright image. It is going to just take everything and try to make it all bright. So it'll make the adjustment to the ISO and the shutter speed and all of that. Apple does the same thing. All of them do the same thing. And the problem with those photos is they end up looking very flat and pretty boring. And that's almost how you can tell. And so what they do on the screen is they give you this, square that you can adjust, and there's different colors that you start with. So gold or rose gold or these different kind of shades to the image, which are reminiscent of a film. That's why it's such a big deal to, I think, Fujifilm shooters, because there is like this idea behind it that it's similar to a film stock. So you start there, but then you say, no, I don't want it that bright. And you can bring those shadows back down. You can actually add depth through color. And I find it beautiful. I think it makes beautiful images. So it really took it up a next level.
And you can shoot straight black and white from it now too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, which is, for me, I do a lot of conversion to black and white. I almost always prefer black and white photography to color photography. And maybe that goes back to, first cameras that I had in my hand back in the day when, for graduation from high school, I got a Konica that, I was shooting black and white film. First roll of film I ever shot, black and white. I still have those photos sitting upstairs right on my desk. And they're, for a dumbass kid taking pictures, they're pretty good. They were. Not to jump off the iPhone, and I will come right back to it, but I have to say the Photos app on the Mac OS Photos has the best black and white editor, I think. Like I will edit my photos in Lightroom to black and white, and I'll bring them into Photos to finish it, to make it really pop. Because their black and white slider thing that they have is incredible. Yeah, I have to play with that more. I don't usually I go to Pixelmator.
Yeah. I don't think people know about it. I really don't think people know.
Very cool. All right, so that's interesting. So the fact that you can kind of choose that, make adjustments to it.
Yep.
One of the things that I find with the iPhone, with the camera, that kind of drives me nuts is, and I don't know why it does this, but I will often make adjustments to the brightness. If I'm using the iPhone camera, you can slide down on the screen. You put your finger on it, you can slide up or down on the screen to get more light or less light. And right at about the time that I've set the color, I've set the brightness that I want and start to reframe the picture, it jumps back to the previous one, which drives me flipping crazy. Is that still an issue in the 16 world?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, great. That's good news.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I think that's probably software.
Yeah.
Be my guess. But
yeah.
back to the photographic styles for just a second. I agree with Chris. I didn't really expect much from those, really. I thought, they're glorified filters, but they're really not. But also, that's in the image processing pipeline, so it's captured. So if you go over to your iPad later to edit, you can edit those on your iPad too, so you're not stuck on the phone necessarily if you don't want to edit there. I don't know if it shows up on macOS Photos app or not. I haven't looked there.
It doesn't.
Okay, so just on iPad and iPhone.
Yeah.
But if you do want a bigger screen to do those adjustments, it does carry over to the iPad.
Oh, nice. That is good.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not baked in, which is a feature like the other cameras don't have. If I shoot a certain way on Fujifilm in a JPEG, that is baked into the JPEG. That is over. But on the iPhone, you can adjust after the fact.
Yeah, and you don't really need to even have them on. Like you can just take a photo and then go back later and apply the styles.
Oh, you can? Oh,
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
Which is nice because that kind of opens up a lot of, oh, crap, I should have set it to something else, but I didn't even think about it. And then later on, you can be like, oh, I'll just do it in post, which is nice.
Right. Wow. Very cool. So, Chris, as far as photography goes, obviously you're shooting Fuji film all the time. That's your primary. How much iPhone photography do you do? And what is it? Is it that's the phone that's in your pocket? That's the camera that's in your pocket at the time, or is it more intentional than that?
I don't intentionally go out and shoot with iPhone. It's just the preferred style, right? I just like the viewfinder. I like to put my eye up to the camera and shoot through the viewfinder. And, the screen doesn't really give me that experience. But it is the camera that I have with me. As much as I want to be an EDC person and have an everyday pack that just is everything, it's got my notebook, it's got everything. It just doesn't happen, right? I walk out with things in my pockets. And so my phone acts, when I see something beautiful, I'm glad that I have it.
Right. Yeah. And that's what it is for me. And I shot Nikon for a long time. I haven't shot full-size camera in years. I'm rethinking it, thanks to you, pal, and looking at what it is that I might get. I'm not ready to bankroll anything, whether it was a new Nikon Z series or chasing you around, switching over to Fuji. I don't know. You're definitely getting my attention. I will say that. But I do not intentionally go out to take photographs with my phone either, but I'm always happy that I have it in my pocket because I do see things, or I'll see light. I was doing a work thing the other day, and it's going to sound dumb. We were doing some excavation work from time to time, and we were dumping basically a pile of dirt and water into this place that we dump it, and the sunset was so perfect that it was hitting the pond, that's from the water. It was like click, you look at it and you think, this is a work site, should be garbage looking, and it looked amazing. So I'm always happy to have that in my pocket because it is always in my pocket. And I just said pocket like I was from Boston or something.
You did?
Yeah.
You never leave it in the car?
I don't leave it in the car. Never. Anyway, that's the key feature for these phones for me. And on a hike, I always think that I'd like to just hike with my watch on, but I'm happy not to have full gear when I'm hiking sometimes, but super happy to have a phone in my pocket. So I'm really pleased about that.
It's a funny thing, this 16. I've never quite felt so much like they were just trying to fill the gap, because I do believe the rumors. I think there is a redesign coming, and this just kind of feels like an interim phone.
So what you're saying is I'm on the right purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially you've got the 15. So not much of a jump from there. Other than the photographic styles, but
I think the only thing that I would do differently, if I were to get a 16, is I could get the 16 Pro rather than the Max. I got the 16 Pro Max because it had the better camera. 15 Pro Max, because it had the better camera in it, and now that's not even an issue. It's not and a lot of people have said, and I don't know if either of you have any experience with it, but this, the iPhone 16 with just the dual cameras is, by a lot of people's estimation, great. That's you don't need to make the jump up to the Pro model to make it be of any value.
And you get nice colors.
Mm-hmm.
On the Pros, right?
Right.
Because Pro is boring.
Pro is boring. Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, I came from the 14 Pro to the 16 Pro Max. So I didn't have the 5X. Before, obviously picked up Photographic Styles before, picked up the action button that I didn't have before. So it was a pretty nice upgrade for me.
Right.
So I think if you were coming from that and anything below that, it's probably a pretty nice step up. But like you said there, both of you, the 15 to the 16, you don't get a whole lot with it. I did notice, though, because the 14 still had the stainless steel bands and everything on the build. And I had the 14 Pro, not the Pro Max, and the weight of the 14 Pro compared to the 16 Pro Max, being a bigger phone and everything, was not noticeably heavier at all.
Yeah.
They were very close, which I was glad to see, because I was a little concerned about that going back to the bigger phone would be the weight, but it's very similar. And of course, it's physically it's bigger, so you kind of have to adjust your one-handed stuff if you're walking and trying to reach buttons and things, but haven't really had an issue with that. So I've been very happy with it.
Yeah, I went from the 13 to the 15 Pro Max, and I did it as a sort of like, well, the 13's awkward and heavy and whatever, I might as well get the biggest screen. It was almost like a defeated idea, and I was shocked. I was shocked at the 15 Pro Max. I was actually like, wow, this is somehow easier to hold than the 13 Pro was. Like I didn't understand why that was. And then this year when they made them the same, I was like, well, I do want to step back down just because pocket size kind of stuff. But yeah, I think the Pro Max is not too big.
Right. Yeah, I've been really, really happy. I won't say I won't ever go back to the Pro because we don't know what they're putting out down the road. But for now, it's good. In your video there, I noticed you mentioned in the description that it was just to talk about the film perspective, and you said you didn't do anything in the video related to video. Do you use the phone for much video work? Do you do B-roll stuff with that for your videos?
I do. I actually got this this special cage that goes on it where I can put an ND filter on, a neutral density filter. And when you're doing video work, that ND filter is very important because you can open up the aperture to get separation behind you. And that just helps. So I have this cage, and then once you have the cage on there, so it's a form-fitting cage, meaning it fits specifically the iPhone 16 Pro. Once you have that cage on, you can put all these other little things on it that makes it easier to hold. So yeah, I do like to use it for B-roll quite a bit. I'll use it for my main videos. Most people don't notice. Like the video stuff I do on YouTube is like self-serving, creative energy stuff. An iPhone video is just fine for YouTube.
Yeah.
Have either of you used Lux's Kino app for video?
Mm-mm. Oh yeah. Yes, I have. It's actually kind of nice.
I picked it up at $10. No sub like Halite has. I mean, that may come to that. I'm happy to pay for Halite's subscription, but man, I'm impressed by that. in terms of what it can do. And it has a bunch of different film styles as well, including some really good black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you catch a theme with me. I really do like black and white a lot. And I, just being silly, I was hanging with a friend who was getting a haircut the other day, and I was sitting in the barber shop. And I put on one of the black and white, took a Kino video with one of the black and white film styles that they had. And man, it looks so frigging good. That app is pretty amazing. I think it's up for an Apple Design Award this year. I thought I saw.
Yeah.
I saw that, but what an amazing app for video. It really does some great work.
Yeah.
And I'd like to play with it more.
It records in log and it applies the LUT real time, so you don't have to worry about that in post. That's why it's so nice. It's not recording the H.265. It's recording full log, so it's nice.
Yeah, really, really beautiful quality too. Like the contrasts in the black and white, I thought were great.
Yeah,
really, really good quality.
And so that's about $10.
Yeah, it was $10. I mean,
right, yeah, I might have to check that out then. Give me something to do over the holiday break.
And stub my toe and spend that much money. So it's really it really is a great app. I really like it. So why don't you so we can close this out a little bit, Chris? Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your favorite photo stuff going on? What you're working with? I note that you got a new lens the other day.
Yeah. I got this little 50 millimeter. So I have the Fujifilm X-T5 and I got its little cousin, the Fujifilm X-T50. And that camera has been very fun because it's small, like a pocket camera, but it sort of demands little lenses. And so I got this little manual 50 millimeter lens on it, and that was fun. But yeah, what I'm mostly excited about right now is, I guess I think I've seen it in other people's point of view is all the cameras are good. Like I just picked up a Lumix because I was having trouble with video and Fujifilm, and that turned out to be a known problem. I was just trying to overcome it. When I picked up this Lumix camera, it was so much easier just right out of the gate. As soon as I turned it on, it was just easier to use. But I took it out for some photography, and lo and behold, it takes great photos as well. So I think that's probably the best part is it doesn't matter what camera you go get at this point. I really think you're going to get a good camera. Like, Android, iPhone, all of these cameras, they're so fantastic at this point. It's a great time to try photography.
So what's your current kit? What do you carry around with you? What do you try to...
Well, I still carry around Fujifilm for photography. Like, right, photography is number one. And I'll take video stuff with me and I'll end up just shooting photos all day. I won't even do one video, because it's not my first thought. If I'm looking at a beautiful sunset, I'm not like, oh, I need to set up my tripod and put my video on it. I just take the photo. So it's Fujifilm. It's Fujifilm, the X-T5 and the X-T50, depending on what I'm doing. X-T5 is when I'm in the mountains, when I'm doing landscape and that kind of work. X-T50 is like everyday photography, street photography, stuff like that.
Okay. Nice. And favorite lens?
My favorite focal length is 35 millimeters. So I have the 23 millimeter on Fujifilm because it's a crop sensor. It's the same field of view as a 35 millimeter on a full frame.
Cool.
So yeah, 23 millimeter 1.4R LMWR, if anyone's wondering.
That was pretty good.
We'll put that in the show notes.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty slick. Well, Chris, as always, really grateful to have you on. And again, why don't you tell everybody where we can find you, both on YouTube and whatever other platforms you're on, putting out videos and your gorgeous photography. I'll reiterate what you're putting out every day. Where I see it, at least, is on Threads. It's some gorgeous work, and I really enjoy everything that you're doing. But why don't you tell us where?
Sure. I'm at Chris Freitag almost everywhere. If I could get Freitag, I did. So I'm mostly Chris Freitag at YouTube. So youtube.com at Chris Freitag, Threads at Chris Freitag, Instagram at Chris Freitag, and then on Glass I'm Freitag. But yeah, that's where I am.
Okay, great.
And we'll have all those in the show notes, and also up on. If you go to basicafshow.com, there's a guests section, and Chris has a page up there. It's got his links in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Thanks. Really appreciate it. And appreciate your insight and for making me feel better about not getting a 16 Pro.
Yeah, if people waited, I think I would say just wait. Because I do believe, I think they're going to change it. I think it's going to be thin like the iPads.
Yeah, that's a iPhone 17 Air or whatever that rumored mock-up thing is that's going around. Yeah, it looks super thin, and also we'll see what that's like.
Yeah, that'll bend real easy in somebody's back pocket.
Then we'll have another bend gate, just like the iPads get every time a new one comes out. And real quick before we let Chris go, Chris, I know from your Threads post, just like I am, you are enjoying the resurging Denver Broncos.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's been a long time.
It's like so much pain that I just thought I didn't like football anymore. And then now they're doing well, and I'm like, oh, right, I love this sport.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I remember this. Yes. Welcome back. And that game Monday night with Cleveland was so wild.
That was like, wild.
Yeah. And well, we have a quarterback now, right? So we've got Bo Nix. They drafted him. So possibly, it's only his first year, so it's too soon to say, but has all the makings of like the next franchise quarterback. But that throw to Marvin Mims, that 93-yard touchdown pass, oof.
You know what's really funny is you and I had a conversation on Threads, I want to say last year, that we didn't believe Sean Payton was he was going to turn it around. We thought he was not going to be able to turn it around because old school, blah, blah, blah. Now I look at this year, and honestly, I think if Bo Nix went anywhere else, I don't think he would be succeeding. I really do give the credit to Sean Payton for slowly easing him into it.
Yeah, he really did, and then has started to open it up.
Exactly.
And he's gotten rookie of the week a few times. And also, and Jeff, I know you don't care about this. We'll make it short, and I know you got to go. But Vance Joseph on defense, remember he got fired as the Broncos coach and came back. Yeah. And then last year, Miami put 70 on him, and I was like, oh, he's out the door again. But he's turned it around. They didn't play that well against Cleveland, but overall this year they've been good. But
And this has been Sports Talk on WAAS.
But like we said, at this point, we're playing with house money. Did not expect them to be in playoff contention, so everything is a bonus from here. So it's good.
Good boys. I'm sorry I missed that game, by the way. Usually I can.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah, it was fun. Stressful, but it was fun.
Had a late night of work, and by the time I got home, all I could do was shower and go to bed to get up for the next day's work. But I saw the banter, and I'm happy for you both.
Yes,
really
it's been years of pain.
It's it. This is an interesting football season for those who care, which is Detroit Lions are doing well. There's a lot of interesting old school football going on.
You know what would be the killer is if Detroit and Buffalo end up in the Super Bowl.
Great.
I would be like, who do I root for? I like both of these teams. Like, I want them both to succeed. So, yeah, that would be rough.
Yeah, that'd be a fun game, too. All right, Jeff, give us closing credits, will you?
All righty. Feedback, basicafshow.com. That's where you can get to us. We do like to hear from you, so please feel free to contact us that way. You may have noticed if you're using or have looked at the Basic AF Show website that there's a little button on your phone that appears on the bottom right-hand side that if you tap it, it shows up on the whole page. I was confused. I thought it was a bug in the website. But if you tap that, you can send us an audio message. So do. Curse at us, smile at us, do whatever you please, but we'd like to hear from you. We have music by Psychokinetics and Celsius 7. We're grateful to Celsius 7 for letting us use their great music, Psychokinetics' great music, and our show artwork, Randall Martin Design, randallmartindesign.com. We highly recommend Randall for any of your design needs. He does brilliant work, and as we've said many times, and as Chris can attest to, we look as stupid as those two robots on our artwork. We really do. So that's me, man. I'm done.
All right.
Said all the stuff. Other than this has been Sports Talk 24.
We'll have to do phone calls next time.
Yeah.
Chris, thanks again, man. We appreciate you coming on and carving out some time for us. And, we'd love to have you back again.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This is fun. I like it.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. Well, happy holidays. We do appreciate you joining us, like I said. And you, dear listener, we do appreciate you being here. We've said it multiple times and we'll continue to say it. There are lots of choices for this type of content, and we are honored that you'd spend some time with us. So thank you very much. And we will talk to you in a couple of weeks. Until then, have a great rest of your day or your night.
First time listener, last time call.